Yuan felt her lips twitching as she looked at the grinning headmaster. How did that saying go? Old ginger is spicier than young ginger. This old ginger actually tricked her. Ah, worryless. 3 million honor points isn't some small sum. You should know that, right? You see how I didn't hassle you all those years when you were gone from the independent state? You must have returned here today to repay those honor points, right? The headmaster questioned her in good humor. Yuan didn't refute this point. Forget about 3 million mercenary honor points. Even if it was 17 or 1800,000, she couldn't manage to gather that amount. So she could imagine what an astronomical number 3 million honor points were. However, what she couldn't understand was how she owed so many honor points back then. Worryless, why aren't you talking? The headmaster asked. Headmaster, truthfully speaking, aside from being worryless and I have a second identity. Yuan responded with a faint smile. A second identity? The headmaster wore an odd expression. Tell me about it. Do you still remember Yuan, headmaster? Yuan asked. Yuan, that girl who still owes me several 10,000 honor points? The headmaster nodded. He remembers quite well who owes him mercenary points. Sir Headmaster, truthfully speaking, I'm Yuan. You're that Yuan? The headmaster was astonished. That's right. Yuan nodded lightly. The reason I previously asked you to hypnotize me was that I lost my original memories. Since she lost her memories, how could she still remember she owed Scarlet Flames Academy 3 million honor points? Hold on. The headmaster stared at Yuan and mulled over the matter for a moment before asking with a frown. So what you're saying is that since you lost your memories, you don't need to repay the 3 million mercenary points you owe? Although that idea did pop up. No. Yuan frantically shook her head and looked at him. Sir Headmaster, you've misunderstood. Don't you know me? Am I worryless someone like that? Yes. The headmaster nodded without any hesitation. Yuan's expression turned embarrassed. Was the older really this shameless and left such an indestructible image in the headmaster's mind? Sir Headmaster, how could I be someone who would leave a debt unpaid? Look, how about you help me recover my memories first? As long as my memory's recovered, I'll repay every single mercenary point I owe to Scarlet Flames Academy. Yuan promised with a smile on her lips. The headmaster suspiciously scrutinized Yuan. I don't believe you. Sir Headmaster, look, I already owe 3 million mercenary points, so a couple thousand is nothing more. I guarantee that as soon as I regain my memories and remember the honor points I owe, I'll definitely pay everything back. Yuan looked convicted. The headmaster felt helpless. Why was it so difficult to ask someone to settle an account? Was she accustomed to owing a debt? She had 2 identities, but both identities owed mercenary honor points to the Scarlet Flames Academy. The headmaster was brimming with exasperation. He shouldn't have set this precedent from the start. Adding what you previously owe, let me calculate it. The Scarlet Flames headmaster sank into contemplation. Seeing hope, Yuan immediately grinned. Sir Headmaster, what's there to calculate? At that time, the moment I recover my memory, I swear I'll pay back every point I owe. If I owe a single cent, I'll be struck by lightning. Really? The headmaster asked uncertainly. Really, absolutely, realer than actual gold. Yuan frantically nodded. In the end, the headmaster sighed with profound exasperation. Fine, I'll believe you one last time. Lie down in your usual spot. Yuan immediately laid down on the armchair. The headmaster prepared for a while before moving toward Yuan. Following the string of hints from the headmaster, Yuan soon felt her world spiraling and fatigue hitting her. Within moments, she lost consciousness completely. Grandpa, it's so cold. They were on what seemed to be a snow-capped mountain, and snow was falling heavily from the sky, covering the big trees around them. The girl was bent over as she followed the strict-looking elderly man in front of her, carefully treading on the snow. With every step she took, she sank to her knees in the accumulated snow. Worryless, follow Grandpa, the elderly man said to the girl, looking back. Grandpa, I'm really cold. The girl was shivering all over as she traversed through the snow. The pain you're suffering right now will become your greatest wealth in the future, Do you understand? The elderly man responded apathetically. But Grandpa, I'm really, really cold. The girl stared at him tearfully. The elderly man was silent for a long while before slowly walking up and picking her up in his arms. Grandpa's so warm. The girl used her hands, which were frozen red, to embrace his neck. You'll walk by yourself once we get up ahead. The elderly man quickly strode forward while carrying the girl. Yi Wanwan's heart trembled. Was that imposing elderly man her grandfather? But where in the world did Grandpa go? Where is he? Are you warm now? About half an hour later, the elderly man carried the girl out of the snow and arrived at a tall hill. Yes, I'm warm. The girl nodded emphatically. Walk by yourself. The elderly man gently placed the girl back on the ground. Grandpa, I'm hungry. The girl looked at the elderly man pitifully, clutching her stomach. Worryless, do you still remember why you came here? The elderly man turned around and stared at her expressionlessly. I know, Grandpa. The girl nodded. Grandpa is going to train me to endure hardships and work hard so that I can become a superior person in the future. Since endure it. Regardless of how arduous your surroundings are, you have to face them with a smile. Understood? Worryless understands. The girl smiled, but her smile promptly disappeared and turned into a pitiful expression. But I am really hungry. Worryless is afraid of starving to death and not seeing Brother Chiron ever again. You. The elderly man was finally somewhat angered, but he sighed in the end. He started a fire nearby. Stay warm here and don't leave. Understood? Yes, the girl agreed. The elderly man then turned and left. About 15 minutes later, the elderly man returned from the distance, holding a wild hare. Sitting down next to the open fire, the elderly man cleaned and prepared the hare with a dagger before placing it above the flames to roast. Soon, the scent of roasted hare permeated the air, and saliva dripped out of the girl's mouth as she stared at the golden, gleaming hare meat. Worthless. The elderly man used his hand to wipe the drool clean from the girl's mouth. Wait a little longer. It's too hot. The elderly man scolded when he saw her reaching out. Okay. The girl had no choice but to wait anxiously after being scolded. Grandpa, why didn't we bring any dry food? The girl looked at her grandfather in incomprehension as she waited. The elderly man stared at her. When you grow up, you might need to survive in the wild. At that time, what would you do if you didn't have any dry food on you? Would you wait for your death? If you learn all these survival skills, even if you didn't have anything to eat or drink at that time, you could get through any desolate situation with ease. Do you understand? Worryless understands, Grandpa. The girl nodded with some comprehension. Eat. The elderly man handed the whole hare to the girl. Grandpa, you also haven't eaten for a whole day. You eat, the girl replied. Hurry and eat. I'm not hungry. The elderly man seemed to lack patience. Hearing that her grandfather wasn't hungry, the girl started drooling again as she stared at the hare. She placed it next to her nose and took a sniff before chomping down. The elderly man had extracted all of the bones from the hare already, so it was easy for her to eat it. Grandpa, I'm full. Sometime later, she spoke to the elderly man, and the elderly man looked at the small half of the hare remaining and silently picked it up before finishing the rest of it. Late at night, inside a cave, snow was still falling outside the cave. The fire pile inside the cave was bright and warm, so the girl didn't feel cold in her spot next to the fire. When the girl was about to fall asleep, she seemed to hear wee calls for help outside the cave, and also some howling from wolves. The girl jolted awake almost instantly. Grandpa, I think there's someone there, the girl cautiously said while looking at the elderly man who had his eyes completely closed. However, the elderly man didn't move, as though he'd fallen asleep. The calls for help became more and more obvious, and the girl finally scrounged up the courage and slowly treaded outside the cave. Help! Outside the cave, a little boy was panting with a face of terror. Blood was flowing from the corners of his eyes, and an astounding wound seemingly caused by sharp claws could be faintly seen. The boy was sprawled on the ground as he rapidly scooted back using both his hands and feet. However, he was merely a child, so how could he compare to the speed of a wild animal? In the blink of an eye, a snowy white wolf, whose fangs glinted chillingly, pounced at the boy with a roar. The boy's face was ghastly pale, and he still subconsciously cried for help in his despair. Suddenly, a bright light rushed into his world, and the blazing heat seemed to melt the snow around them. The girl had sprinted toward the boy's side with a burning wooden stick in hand, wildly waving the torch at the wolf. The girl was incredibly scared, but she still remembered how her grandfather once said wolves feared fire the most. The boy was stunned as he stared at this girl who was only a little bigger than her. This girl seemed to have descended from the sky. Her fearless background filled him with a mysterious sense of safety. The wolf stared at the girl intently, its tail drooping and its eyes shining coldly. Its fangs, which could rip through everything, struck terror into people's hearts. Currently, the wolf was quietly growling at her. "Grandpa, I'm scared." The girl kept nervously looking back at the cave. At that moment, she was regretful. Why didn't she wake Grandpa up, and why did she run out here by herself? The girl's torch flickered from the bursts of wintry wind, with the possibility of getting extinguished at any second. The girl waved the torch and walked backward to the boy's side, finally seeing his appearance. His large eyes were very spirited, and his skin was fair. Unfortunately, the corner of his eye was scratched, but thankfully his eyeballs weren't injured. Also, it was winter, so it wasn't too treacherous. "We'll walk toward the cave." "My grandpa's there," the girl said to the boy. I can't walk." The boy shook his head. He struggled to stand up, but it was a futile effort. The girl immediately knelt down and supported his arm with one arm, while keeping her hold on the torch with the other, continually brandishing it toward the wolf that was prepared to leap toward them any second. Worryless. Suddenly, the elderly man slowly walked out of the cave and looked at the girl with a tinge of displeasure. "Grandpa, hurry and save us," the girl ardently cried. The elderly man didn't say anything and quickly walked toward the girl. The wolf growled and sprang toward the elderly man. Swish! A kick was seen, and the wild wolf was kicked up a dozen or so meters, crashing onto the ground, ceasing to breathe. "Come back." The elderly man picked the girl up. "Grandpa, too." The girl pointed to the boy. The elderly man glanced at the boy before also picking him up and bringing him inside the cave. "What's your name?" the girl asked the boy. The boy shook his head. "Why are you here by yourself? Where's your dad and mom?" The girl continued to ask. The boy turned silent, seemingly unwilling to answer this question. After a long while, the boy suddenly asked, "Grandfather, can I follow you? I don't have a home." "Grandpa." The girl kept shaking the elderly man's arm while staring at him. A moment later, the elderly man closed his eyes and aloofly replied. Yuan surveyed the boy. Was this boy the current president of a martial arts union? The injury by his eye was enough to reveal his identity. Yuan found it unbelievable. It turned out she shared this past with the current president of the martial arts union. However, Yuan couldn't understand it. If they shared this past, why did that boy want to kill her after growing up? Just what kind of misfortune had happened between then and now? The truth was within reach, but it sent Yuan's head splitting with pain. Her own issue seemed to be preventing her from recalling the supposed truth. The scene abruptly changed. The girl had become a slender and graceful teenager at a slum in the Independent State. The girl was walking on the streets when she was bumped. Nearby, a somewhat raggedly dressed teenage boy stuck his tongue out at her and rolled his eyes, a defiant expression on his face. Within moments, the youth fled without a trace. The girl aloofly chased after the youth to a remote alley. "I stole an idiotic woman's money, ha!" The youth snickered as he looked at the shy-looking boy next to him. "Big Dipper, that's very dangerous," the boy responded after silence. "What are you afraid of? Don't worry, you'll get to eat meat following me. Sadly, my mom's health isn't good, so I can't take you home. But don't worry, as long as I have a mouthful of soup to drink, you'll have a piece of meat to eat." The youth clapped his chest. The man next to Big Dipper shyly peered at Big Dipper before quickly nodding. "Thank you, blah, you're insulting me. What's there to thank? We're brothers, good brothers. We're loyal and self-sacrificing. Ha!" Big Dipper burst into laughter. "Big Dipper, Where's your dad? The shy boy suddenly asked after a long silence. The dirty Big Dipper turned quiet. A long time passed before Big Dipper finally replied. My mom said my dad went far, far away, and it'll be a long, long time before he can return. When will that be? The timid boy asked. Winter, probably. Big Dipper answered cheerily. Haha, are you dumb? It's all a lie to fool others. My dad either ran off with a mistress or he died. My mom must have told me that because she didn't want to make me sad. Big Dipper's voice was tinged with some loneliness. Don't look at me like that. You're more tragic than me. At least I still have a mom, while both your dad and mom are dead, Big Dipper said with a sigh. Amen, the shy boy quietly agreed. Forget about that boring stuff. Let's see how much money that idiotic woman had. Big Dipper's dirty hand excitedly pulled out the wallet. Damn! The two boys stared at the bursting wallet, their eyes shining brightly. For you. Big Dipper took out more than half the bills and handed them to the shy boy. I can't. This is yours. I can't take it. The shy boy shook his head. Why are you acting like a girl and dawdling? I'm giving it to you, so take it. I'll need to use the rest of this to buy some medicine for my mom. She keeps coughing lately, and I bought a lot of cold medicine, but it's not improving, Big Dipper said. You should keep it for Andy's medicine, the timid boy said. It's fine. I could just go and steal more. I have this skill which you don't have, so take more, Big Dipper cheerily replied. The shy boy hesitated for a long time before finally thanking Big Dipper. However, he only took a few slips, but wouldn't take any more regardless of what Big Dipper said. Thank you, the shy boy looked at Big Dipper. What's there to thank? When you have money and I don't, you gotta lend more to me. Although I can't guarantee whether I will repay it or not, Big Dipper said after a moment of thought. Big Dipper, what's your dad's surname? The shy boy suddenly asked. Big Dipper was startled. My surname is Big, so how could my dad's surname be small? Of course my dad's surname is also Big. Oh, and I don't think your dad ran off with a mistress. Otherwise, your surname would follow your mom's, the shy boy analyzed. And you're right. Big Dipper bobbed his head. Then my dad. He's probably dead, the shy boy said with a tone of conviction. Big Dipper looked at the other boy, dumbstruck. I think maybe you should return the money to me. How can you ask for it back once you've already given it away? A pleasant voice rang out from behind the two boys before the shy boy could respond. The duo automatically turned around at the same time. A slender and graceful teenage girl with an apathetic expression had been standing behind them since who knew when. Ah, idiotic woman. Big Dipper jolted in fright when he saw the girl, and he immediately stumbled back. The girl stared at Big Dipper and suddenly shot up and pinched Big Dipper by his ear using her right hand. Don't run. I'm an idiotic woman, no? What are you scared of? Blah. Idiotic woman. There's two of us and only one of you. However, as they say, a good man doesn't fight a woman. So I'm telling you, hurry and leave. Both of us are vicious criminals. There's no difference between us and monsters. So I'm telling you, hurry and flee. Otherwise, don't blame us for bullying a woman. My clean knife will come out red. Big Dipper threatened while wailing. What an intimidating threat, the girl said with a grin. Good, as long as you know to be scared. I won't say it again. Hurry and flee, or else I will attack. Big Dipper shouted. What are you waiting for? The teenager asked cheerily. 7-star, leave first. My attacks are vicious, so I'm afraid of scaring you. Big Dipper said to the other boy. 7-star. Idiotic woman, release me if you have the nerve. I'll show you how fearsome I am. Big Dipper tried to kick the girl, but made contact with the air. All right, as you wish. The girl released Big Dipper's ears and took a step back. Big Dipper rubbed his ear and looked at the shy youth. 7-star, you saw it, right? I told her to release me, and she had to release me. In my domain, who doesn't show me respect? 7-star, little brother, you're quite interesting. The girl chuckled lightly. Blah, who's your little brother? Call me Lord Big. Big Dipper harshly rebuked. Then Big Dipper screamed and dashed toward the girl, his body turning and sending a kick into the air. Read more chapter on our VIP novel. The girl stood unmoving in her spot, and Big Dipper didn't perform this kick well. One careless move later, He didn't kick his intended target and fell onto the ground himself. This move seems quite difficult, the girl remarked. I'll spit in your face. I, Lord Big, am just soft-hearted and think you're pretty good-looking. So, I was being kind to a girl and was afraid of killing you, Big Dipper scoffed. Before the girl could respond, Big Dipper sighed and added, forget it, forget it. Seeing how young and pretty you are, I'll spare you today. Don't make me see you again from now on. I'll give you a beating every time I see you. Don't think I'm joking with you. Big Dipper sprinted to the front of the shy youth. 7-star, give me some face today and let this idiotic woman off easy. Let's go. The shy youth, all right then, don't leave. Let's chat some more. The girl chuckled and took a step forward, blocking the two boys. Fine, 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 Big Dipper stared at her. Idiotic woman, it's you who forced me. In truth, you're old and ugly. You ugly freak. Big Dipper coldly continued. Since it's like this, I'll show you my true strength. I'm waiting. The girl smiled aloofly. A second later, Big Dipper headed toward the girl with a dark expression and snorted. Are you ready, idiotic woman? The flowers are wilting from the weight, the girl replied. The next second, Big Dipper dropped down onto his knees with a plop and prayed with his hands above him. Sister, beautiful elder sister, I was wrong. Please pardon this humble fool for my mistake. Spare me. Beautiful sister, look at how young I am. As they say, who doesn't have a period of arrogance in their youth? One day, when I make a comeback, I'll definitely massacre those who've done me wrong. Aya, don't pinch me. I'm kneeling for you already. While Big Dipper was speaking, his ear was attacked again, pinched between the girl's fingers. Don't bully Big Dipper. At that moment, the shy youth ran over and stared at the girl menacingly. What's the relationship between you two? The girl inquired out of curiosity. We're brothers, the shy youth vehemently declared. Big sister, he's still young, so be the bigger person. How about I write you an IOU and we'll let it pass? What do you want to do, huh? I have someone above me. If you dare to hurt me, someone will definitely seek you out for revenge. As they say, when will an eye for an eye ever end? Why don't we raise a glass to the sky instead? A glass for you and a glass for me. And let's get drunk together. The girl glanced at Big Dipper. You might be an idiot. Big Dipper was startled. How do you know? My mom also said that. He's not an idiot, the shy youth cried agitatedly. The girl suddenly released her hold, returning freedom to Big Dipper's ear. Why are you stealing? She asked. I have a skill, so how wasteful would it be if I didn't use it? Big Dipper hastily replied. The girl, we don't have any money. I haven't eaten for a long time. He's unwilling to go home, so he can stay with me, the shy youth mumbled sometime later, his head lowered. Where's your dad and mom? The girl turned to the shy youth. They're both dead. The shy youth's voice was soft. What about your dad and mom? The girl looked at Big Dipper. TCH, my mom's health isn't good, and my dad ran off with a mistress. What about it? Big Dipper asked. The girl stared at Big Dipper, confusion on her face. His mom's health wasn't good, and his dad ran off with a mistress. What in the world was he so proud about? No, Big Dipper. Your dad's probably dead. The shy youth corrected seriously. Damn you. Your dad's dead. My dad ran off with a mistress. Big Dipper pursed his lips. My dad is dead. That's right, but your dad definitely didn't run off with a mistress. Your dad is also dead, the shy youth said. My dad ran off with a mistress. Big Dipper looked worked up. All right, enough. The girl immediately interrupted their conversation and looked at Big Dipper. Your dad ran off with a mistress. That's right, my dad definitely ran off with a mistress. Take my word for it. Big Dipper nodded vehemently. Do you two plan to keep stealing for the rest of your lives? The girl asked. He doesn't have that skill, so of course it's going to be me doing the stealing. Big Dipper looked rather proud. Then you two can follow me from now on. The girl smiled. This way, your mom will have money to treat her illness, and you two can also live better. How about it? Sister, will we be full every day? The shy youth stared at her intently. That'll depend on whether you work hard or not, the girl replied. I can bear a lot of hardship. 7-star hastily responded. Wow, are you telling the truth? If we follow you, we can earn money for my mom's treatment? Big Dipper also asked. Of course. The girl nodded with a smile. Then it's a yes from me. Big Dipper nodded immediately. Sure for me too, the shy youth echoed. Let's go. I'll take you to your new home. The girl turned around and started to leave. Sister, what's your name? The shy youth shouted. Bye phone. Bye for white and phone for maple leaf. You can call me Sis Phone from now on, the girl answered without looking back. Shit, Sis Phone, wait for us. Big Dipper and 7-Star chased after her at once. Furthermore, Big Dipper's foolishness wasn't feigned. He had been this foolish since he was young, sincerely foolish. The scene changed again. Countless major and minor scenes and dribs and drabs of memories rushed into Yi Wanwan's mind. Some memories were particularly clear, while other memories were incredibly blurry, like a jumbled ball. Her handful of interactions with her parents, her bickering and jesting with her brother, her being pummeled to the floor by piece of shit, her nervousness and unease when she gave birth to Tang Tang, her quarrels and sweet moments with Si Yin. Suddenly, the scene stopped in a study. The teenage girl had become increasingly good-looking. She sat on one side of the desk and propped her chin up with her hand as she dazedly stared at the unrivaled man, enamored. A Xiuran who ruins countries, a child who is matchless. The girl's eyes were brimming with adoration, as though every cell in them was filled by this man. There wasn't a single fault in the man's exquisite, chiseled face. An aloof smile perpetually hung from his lips, and even his intoxicating eyes were filled with a careless gentleness and a scholarly feeling. Worryless, the man set down the pen and paper in his hands and tenderly looked at the girl with a smile in his eyes. Suddenly, the scene changed and the world spiraled and twirled. Every scene related to Ji Xiuran was ripped into shreds like a piece of paper. In Yi Wanwan's mind, the man didn't say a word and merely snapped his finger lightly, causing every memory related to Ji Xiuran to disappear. Yi Wanwan suddenly jolted awake, sweat drenching her face. Next to her, the headmaster stared at Yi Wanwan with knitted brows, his expression turning odder. How could this be? Yi Wanwan murmured, turning to the headmaster immediately. Pause. The headmaster intently looked at her and asked, What did you see? I seem to have forgotten some memories. Yi Wanwan looked contemplative. Indeed, all of your memories disappeared, so it's normal for many minor details or scenes to be blurry or forgotten, but there's no way you would forget the major things unless your own subconscious is unwilling to recall it. The headmaster replied, I'm unwilling to remember it. Yi Wanwan frowned. For example, the matters related to the Martial Arts Union, her grandpa, and that new president of the Martial Arts Union. Was she unwilling to remember those things? But what was the case with Ji Xiuran? The shattering of those memories filled her with apprehension. I can't recall any of my memories related to Ji Xiuran. Moreover, a scene appeared where he snapped his fingers in the depths of my mind, and every memory related to him dispersed into dust, Yi Wanwan automatically said. A realization dawned on the headmaster. No wonder. There was someone before me who hypnotized you, and they probably completely sealed off a portion of your memories. Based on what you said, it was Ji Xiuran who sealed the memories between you and him, and I'm afraid even I can't help you recall them. Ji Xiuran was his proudest and most talented student. Ji Xiuran's accomplishments in hypnotism had grown much stronger than him, Scarlet Flame's Academy's headmaster, a long time ago. Ji Xiuran hypnotized me? But why? What was his objective? Yi Wanwan's thoughts felt a bit chaotic. Maybe he didn't want you to remember something you shouldn't remember, or maybe he was afraid you'd be sad or something. I'm just guessing. Don't take it seriously, the headmaster said with a meaningful overtone and smiled. Yi Wanwan confusedly looked at the headmaster, unable to understand his meaning. In a sense, Ji Xiuran is my best disciple. He learned his hypnotism skills from me, but his success has surpassed mine long ago. However, Ji Xiuran's hypnotism skills are too tyrannical, while mine are fairly gentle. Hence, I can help you recover your memories while Ji Xiuran can only help you forget certain things, the headmaster explained with a soft chuckle. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. She really wasn't knowledgeable about this topic. Just when did Ji Shiran hypnotize her? Yuan mulled over it. Ji Shiran seemed to have delivered a packed lunch to her once. So was it that time? All right, worryless. Do you think it was Ji Shiran who made you lose your memory? The headmaster inquired curiously. Yuan shook her head. She underwent memory masking, which wasn't connected to Ji Shiran at all. If it wasn't, then I don't know. After all, this is the world of you youngsters, and about half my body is in the grave already, so I don't really understand it. The headmaster smiled faintly. Ji Shiran once hypnotized her and made her forget all of her memories in her youth that were related to him. You want to know why Ji Shiran did that. She had no choice but to find Ji Shiran first and ask him, Headmaster, I feel like my memories aren't entirely recovered yet. Yuan said to the headmaster after a moment of contemplation. Of course not. The headmaster nodded. In order to fully recover, you need time. For example, even if it was your body that was injured, it'd need time to recuperate slowly, let alone your memory. In truth, Yuan successfully remembered most of her memories from her youth. She merely couldn't recall some important memories like information regarding her grandpa and the current president of the martial arts union. Just need time, Yuan murmured. The headmaster looked certain. That's right, but there is one thing. If some of those memories are ones you yourself aren't willing to remember, then it'd be a futile effort regardless of how much you borrowed outside force. Based on what the headmaster said, it appeared she could only rely on herself to recall the rest of the memories. Yuan wasn't too anxious. She could remember the majority of her memories already, and time would slowly recover the rest. There wasn't anything people could do anymore. Worryless, do you remember the 3 million honor points you owe to Scarlet Flames Academy now? The headmaster suddenly asked Yuan with a grin. Yuan slapped her head hard. Oh, I don't think I remember this matter. Sir Headmaster, I'll go back and think about it slowly. See you later. Before the headmaster could respond, Yuan had fled without a trace. The energy exhausted from this fourth hypnosis session was immense, so Yuan felt extremely fatigued after leaving Scarlet Flames Academy. It was as though all of her energy was sucked out of her. At the same time, a visitor unexpectedly arrived at the Fearless Alliance. When Big Dipper saw Lord Azura and the sullen guard behind the man standing at the entrance, his hair bristled from fright. Damn, Lord Azura. Azura's attacking us. Brothers, hurry and surround them. Right. Surround them. Kill them. Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper like the man was an idiot and promptly ignored him. He turned to face Lord Azura and greeted him. Pardon us for not going out to meet you, Lord Azura. Big Dipper finally regained his senses and hastily said, Damn, sorry, I almost forgot we're a family with Azura now. My bad. He really couldn't be blamed for this. Although many days had passed already, he still couldn't absorb this enormous relationship twist. Where's your president? Ian asked. Seven Star quickly replied. The president went to Scarlet Flames Academy and hasn't returned yet. But looking at the time, she should be back soon, so you can enter first and wait for a bit. Amen. Ian nodded and followed Seven Star inside the Fearless Alliance. The higher-ups based at the headquarters were mostly present the day Azura besieged the Nier residence and personally witnessed the historical scene of Lord Azura transforming into the dad of their president's son. However, when they suddenly saw this terrifying great devil of the independent state appearing in their own camp, they were all terribly scared and reflexively wanted to attack him. Damn, a home master was so scared his legs turned weak when he saw the person behind Seven Star and almost knelt down. Third Elder was arguing with First Elder over something and was also spooked out of his mind when he looked up and abruptly saw Ian. Shit, Lord Azura? Am I seeing a ghost in broad daylight? First Elder derisively glanced at Third Elder. Useless. Lord Azura is now our president's man. So what's there to fuss about seeing him at the Fearless Alliance? Third Elder lifted First Elder's hand. A glinting concealed weapon was grandly sitting in First Elder's hand. Third Elder angrily rebuked. You old fart. You got so scared that you're holding a weapon. So where do you get the gall to criticize me? First elder, ahem, it truly was a conditioned reflex. That was the leader of Azura. His notoriety spread far, and he was famous for his brutality. People said this man was mercurial and tempestuous. He killed people like he was scything flax and was bloodthirsty and sadistic in nature. He even had a horrifying fondness for eating human flesh and drinking human blood. The people of the independent state normally had the saying, "If you misbehave again, I'll tell Lord Azura to capture and eat you," to scare children, showing just how deep-reaching Lord Azura's infamy was. Since the ferocious battle between prison and the martial arts union, Azura's bloody fighting force had left behind an indelible impression on everyone in the independent state. However, speaking of this, they suddenly understood something. Realization dawned on Third Elder. Speaking of which, during the battle with prison, all the other factions suffered disastrous casualties, and only our fearless alliance had the lowest fatalities. Back then, I merely thought we were well-informed and acted shameless enough and hid fast. Thinking back on it now, it turns out it was because our president had an adulterous affair with Lord Azura. First Elder said, calculating back from our young president's age, the president did seduce the Lord Azura then. Third Elder, damn. Our president's taste back then, First Elder, it was too heavy. She actually dared to sleep with even Lord Azura, and even dared to hide his child for so long. Thinking about it, the scariest person in the independent state should be their president instead. No? 7-Star led Lord Azura to the VIP room and quickly had someone serve some refreshments. Please wait for a moment. Our president should return in 10 minutes, 7-Star said. Even though 7-Star was trying his hardest to calm himself and suppressing his fear, having to stand so close to this man already caused a layer of sweat to drench his back in these mere minutes. As for Big Dipper, he'd hidden far, far away without any sense of brotherhood a long time ago, saying as he left, Old 7, I'll leave this honorable and difficult mission to you. This man clearly had such a handsome face, but his menacing aura was seriously too intense. He accepted the most supreme position in Azura at a young age and became Lord Azura. He was able to keep those vicious hellhounds in Azura submissive and obedient. So how could he be a benevolent person? His methods back then struck terror into the entire criminal underworld of the independent state. Even now, 7-Star couldn't figure out why Sisphone would like someone like this. Lord Azura, please have some tea. The subordinate who came to serve the refreshments was sweating profusely and his hands were trembling with fear. When the subordinate placed the tea down, his hand slipped and accidentally spilled all of the tea onto Si Yihan's clothes. What are you doing? Jiang Yin angrily rebuked instantly. The subordinate had turned completely stupefied and his face was drained of color as he knelt down with a plop. Spare me, Lord Azura. Spare me, Lord Azura. I didn't do it on purpose, 7-Star also hastily said. Please forgive him, Lord Azura. It wasn't intentional. Si Yihan's slender fingers lightly brushed away the tea leaves on his clothes before he peered down at the terrified subordinate and the nervous 7-Star. Sensing the man's gaze, the subordinate was about to suffocate from his panic, his head about to be buried into the ground. Don't kill me. Don't kill me, Si Yihan aloofly asked. Are you both also this nervous when Emperor Ji normally visits? The kneeling subordinate instantly thought, no way. Emperor Ji is gentle, kind, and charitable. Everyone in the independent state knows he doesn't have any weird hobbies of randomly killing people. So how could he be this frightening? 7-Star astutely detected that this man's question was fairly dangerous. 7-Star clenched his sweaty palms and tried to calm himself down as he replied, Emperor Ji hasn't come here before. Nope, non-existent. Emperor Ji has never been here. Si Yihan didn't say anything and merely stared at that terror-stricken subordinate, his eyes devoid of emotion and his thoughts unknown. The higher-ups who watched the situation from afar were also soaked in sweat and didn't dare to even breathe loudly. They were afraid that this great devil in front of them would really go on a murder spree at the slightest displeasure, as the rumors said. Rumors said Lord Azura massacred an entire city simply because someone gave him a second glance. Rumors said he could mercilessly kill even his confidant and wouldn't spare that confidant's infant child simply because that confidant knocked over his teacup. Rumors said this man was an inhumane monster. There were truly too many scary rumors regarding this man, so people couldn't be faulted for being afraid at the mere sight of this man. It was over. That guy was probably going to die here today. Damn, what should we do? Who will go salvage the situation? Are you kidding me? Who will go? Will you go? When that kneeling subordinate felt his eyes about to roll back and he was going to faint, buoyant footsteps could be heard behind him. Yi Wanwan had increased the speed of her driving the moment she received a call from 7-Star. When she hurried to the VIP guest room, she really saw her baby. Her eyes shone as she sprang towards Siyin. Baby. The girl's melodious and glutinous voice was like an icebreaker and shattered the chilly ice around him. It was as though clouds were dispersed from the man's eyes and rays of the sun were sprinkling down from the sky. A second later, before the man could react, a fragrant softness had securely glued itself into his arms like a ball of cotton candy. Yi Wanwan had one knee knelt on Si Yihin's thigh while her arms intimately hooked around his neck. She bent down and smacked a kiss on his face, her eyes joyfully shining. Baby, why did you come? Did you wait long? When the members of the Fearless Alliance saw their president rushing in like a gale, they felt like they were watching a savior descending on the world. The kneeling underling especially. He was looking at Yi Wanwan like she was a living guanine. However, when they saw their president throw herself into Lord Azura's arms so girlishly and kiss the great devil's face, their expressions were petrified, and they couldn't believe their eyesight. This scene was seriously too freaking mind-blowing. Si Yihin's gaze had fully shifted from that subordinate to the girl. He supported her waist with one hand to keep her steady and safe from falling before replying. Just got here. Not too long. Damn, I had business at Scarlet Flames Academy today and had to deal with that old headmaster for half a day. I'm dying from exhaustion. So hurry and kiss me. Yi Wanwan glutinously asked for kisses and comforting. When Si Yihin saw the girl's complaining expression, the vivacious and bright light in her eyes, and her earnest joy and affection when she saw him, the destructive emotions that rushed up from his heart and nearly drowned him moments ago instantly vanished. He reached out and lightly patted her head with his broad hand before leaning down and pressing a light kiss on her forehead, an extremely treasuring, extremely gentle kiss, as though he was treating her like the most valuable treasure in the world. When the members of the Fearless Alliance saw their president daintily gluing herself to the great devil and kissing him, they were stunned. When they saw the great devil speaking softly, carefully comforting and tenderly kissing their president, they were horrified. Even Big Dipper and 7-Star, who'd been with Yi Wanwan for ages, suffered a colossal shock. Si Yihin kissed the girl, but promptly remembered something and suddenly pushed her away. What? Yi Wanwan, who was pushed away, was instantly displeased. There's water on my clothes. Don't touch it, Si Yihin replied. Only then did Yi Wanwan discover the tea stains all over Si Yihin's clothes and the subordinate kneeling nearby. The atmosphere was rather tense, actually. It didn't require much thought for Yi Wanwan to guess what had happened. Yi Wanwan raised that subordinate by the back of his lapels. Get up. You just accidentally knocked over the tea. Do you have to be so scared? My baby is such a gentle and good-tempered person. Do you think he would eat you? The picked-up subordinate was dumbfounded. Gee, gentle. Huh? Are you talking in your sleep, President? Yi Wanwan irritatedly kicked him away. Forget it. Seeing as he splashed the tea and did a good thing, I will make allowances for him this time. Yi Wanwan quickly turned and picked up Si Yihin's hand while beaming brightly. Baby, look at you. Your clothes are all soaked. Let's go. I'll take you to my room to change your clothes. Tisk, seeing that you've done something good, I'll spare you. Leave already. That subordinate was kicked out with a dumbstruck expression. He had no idea what good act he performed. Didn't I get into trouble? The subordinate wiped the sweat from his forehead. This was too freaking scary. The president had to be making an excuse by saying he performed a good thing since she couldn't bear to see him punished. Yes, that must be it. President, Sir Lord Azura, I'll leave now. I won't disturb you anymore. Then that subordinate and the rest of the Fearless Alliance watched their president trying to abduct Lord Azura into her room like the big bad wolf, using the pretext of having him change out of his wet clothes. Everyone's expressions were indescribable. They never expected their president to interact with Lord Azura like this. Their president was seriously impressive. She could hit on such a frightening man. Her taste was simply matchless. A second later, everyone's line of sight swished toward Lord Azura. That apathetic man didn't move and remained seated in his spot, his gaze pausing on the girl's face for a second before coolly replying, "No need. It's fine." The members of the Fearless Alliance all clicked their tongues with unsurprised expressions. See, she got rejected as we expected. Lord Azura possessed a scary mind, so how could he not see through the president's petty tricks? Yuanwan didn't mind and continued with a grin. "Let's go. I happen to have bought a new outfit for you, so I can help you change into it in my room." Cian paused for a brief moment before he answered. "All right." Then Yuanwan directly led a certain someone upstairs. The members of the Fearless Alliance. Inside Yi Wanwan's private lounge. "Where are the clothes?" Si Yihan surveyed the room. "There are no clothes. I lied to you." Yi Wanwan replied without a flush of red and pounced on him, pushing him onto the bed. Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan. A hug. After leaving Scarlet Flame's academy, her mood was indeed rather heavy. However, it improved a lot as soon as she saw Si Yihan. Si Yihan looked exasperated. "Get up first." After saying that, he helped the girl up and pushed her some distance away. "Damn, he actually pushed me away." Yi Wanwan's expression darkened immediately, accusation written all over her face. "You have a lover on the outside?" Si Yihan peered up at her, glancing at her from the corner of his eyes, but he didn't say a word. He nonchalantly took off his black, tea-stained jacket before opening his arms toward her. "Come here." "Aya." So he was stripping his clothes himself. "You should have told me. I can allow that." So eager. Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened. She was finally satisfied and launched herself at him again, comfortably burrowing herself into his arms. "Hee, after our plan succeeds and my parents accept you, we won't need to meet so sneakily anymore. Darling Tang Dang told me that you're getting along well now, so it should be soon. That little fella might appear very disdainful when he mentions you, but I can tell he really likes you. Do you remember how he defended you in front of Lord Azura when he didn't know you were Lord Azura? He said you were very gentle. He's truly my son and really has good taste like me." As the man listened to the girl muttering about their future and their son, and he felt her tangible warmth, his breathing turned heavy and he peered down, fiercely kissing her on the lips. When Yi Wanwan felt the abrupt fiery heat on her lips, she blinked, surprised. So passionate today. Isn't he a bit overly passionate? It really caught me off guard. I originally intended to chat a bit and warm things up." The man's hand lay over her smooth skin, and he uncontrollably pressed her body against his. Yi Wanwan sharply detected the concealed unease in his emotions and reflexively ran her fingers through his hair. Si Yihan's spine stiffened abruptly, and he froze. Yi Wanwan gently kissed Si Yihan on the chin. "Baby, what is it? Did something happen?" Si Yihan stayed silent for a long time before finally asking, "Wanwan, have you really thought it through?" Ever since he learned about Tong Tong's background, an intense sense that things were surreal kept haunting him these past few days. He felt like he was being suspended in the air. Yi Wanwan was bewildered. "Thought through what?" "Being together with me." Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes. "Rubbish. Of course I have. Does that require thinking?" Si Yihan pinched the spot between his brows and dejectedly got up. He silently sat on the edge of the bed, an unshakable gloominess plaguing his features. A moment later, the man blankly stared at some point in the air, his eyes unfocused as he hoarsely said, "The person in your heart is a pure and fine gentleman revered by people, and I'm merely an evil dragon." "Nonsense." Yi Wanwan's expression changed the second she heard Si Yihan describe himself like that. From her hypnosis sessions and the memories and fragmented pieces she recovered, she'd remembered Si Yihan's past, so she knew that Si Yihan absolutely wasn't the kind of person he was referring to. His intrinsic nature was more kind-hearted than everyone, purer than everyone. It was just, he was entangled with the evil dragon for too long and became the evil dragon himself. He stared at the abyss for too long, and the abyss reflected back. In this world, there wasn't another living creature who could defeat an evil dragon aside from another evil dragon. He might have defeated the evil dragon, but he became the kind of person he loathed the most. Si Yihan said, "Wan Wan, you don't need to lie to yourself. There's no one who knows me better than I know myself." What he was most afraid of wasn't losing her. It was that she would regret it eventually one day. Yi Wanwan solemnly stared at Si Yihan. Ji Xiuran is wonderful. He's pure and fine, he's revered by everyone, and he's loved and respected by everyone, including my previous self. With every word he heard, his eyes dimmed a degree. Yi Wanwan continued, "And you're an evil dragon, the great devil in everyone's eyes. Everyone is afraid of you, fears you, but so what? In front of me, you always retract your pointy claws and sharp fangs. You're always so gentle and kind-hearted. To me, you're the best person." Every word and sentence that came from her caused intense emotion to billow in her eyes. Si Yihan's originally fractured and collapsed world started to rebuild itself simply because of her simple words. Every time Yi Wanwan called him gentle and kind-hearted, he actually fiercely detested himself inwardly. However, he never expected her to actually say that. Yi Wanwan grumpily muttered, "So I won't allow you to belittle yourself. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You are you. Moreover, my reputation isn't any better than yours, all right? We clearly both the same, so I seriously don't understand where your worries are coming from. When will you finally correct your bad habit of producing vinegar for no reason and drowning yourself every day?" As Yi Wanwan said that, she sighed and propped her chin on her hand, staring at the man before her. Her lips curled up as she waved her hand. "Ah, forget it. You don't need to correct it. I also really like seeing you get jealous." Si Yihan surveyed Yi Wanwan and looked like he wanted to say something, but ended up not saying anything. "Do you still remember the island I mentioned to you last time?" A moment later, Si Yihan asked her. Yi Wanwan was briefly startled. The island he mentioned last time? Yi Wanwan tilted her head and fell into contemplation. I do. Yi Wanwan suddenly remembered the guarded island that Si Yihan mentioned. The famous leaders who went missing from the independent state recently might be imprisoned on that island. Azura rigorously investigated it these past few days, Si Yihan said. Yi Wanwan became interested at once. And then, Ji Xiuran and the other people have been gone for a long time, so the faster they found them, the better. Otherwise, every day would add many uncertain factors, and their situation would be more perilous. There are quite a number of people guarding the boundaries of the island, so unless we forcefully attack the island, it'd be difficult to investigate it thoroughly, Si Yihan said. He originally planned to thoroughly investigate this matter before considering whether he wanted to let Yi Wanwan know. However, Yi Wanwan had a right to know about this matter, not only because of the promise she made back then, but also because that man might also be on that island. That many people, even Azura, can't approach it? Yi Wanwan blinked. Si Yihan expressionlessly replied, "A lot." It wasn't that Azura couldn't approach it, but once they did, the group guarding the island would discover them. Currently, the situation on the island and whether those missing people were imprisoned there or not was unknown. If that heavily guarded island really served as a prison for those missing people, and they rashly approached it, they wouldn't only be unable to save the prisoners, but would also alert the enemies. Furthermore, they would endanger those prisoners. Si Yihan imperceptibly glanced at Yi Wanwan. If Ji Xiuran wasn't on that island, perhaps he wouldn't care about the other people's safety. However, Ji Xiuran might be imprisoned on that island. Si Yihan didn't want to push Ji Xiuran into a more disadvantageous position because of him. Then what should we do? Yi Wanwan was lost in her contemplation, her brows furrowing. Si Yihan stared at Yi Wanwan for a while before calmly saying, Don't get involved with this matter. I'll handle it. Yi Wanwan's gaze landed on Si Yihin. How do you plan to handle it? Yi Wanwan didn't want Si Yihin to encounter any danger because of this matter. If he would, she would prefer to handle it herself. Wanwan. Si Yihin intently looked at Yi Wanwan. If Ji Shiran is still alive, I will rescue him. Of course, the condition being that the person must be alive since only living people could be rescued. Si Yihin couldn't be certain or guarantee whether those missing people were alive or dead right now. Yi Wanwan became lost in her thoughts again. It was true that Ji Shiran once hypnotized her and personally destroyed all of her past memories related to him. Although Yi Wanwan didn't know why Ji Shiran did that, there was one thing she knew. From start to end, Ji Shiran had never harmed her. Since the moment she came to the independent state, the assistance Ji Shiran provided her was truly too immense. Please visit on our list novel. If it wasn't for Ji Shiran, perhaps she wouldn't be able to move a single step in the independent state. From the deepest parts of her heart, Yi Wanwan couldn't accept the possibility of Ji Shiran being murdered. To Yi Wanwan, Ji Shiran was too mysterious. His entire being was akin to a dense fog inside primal chaos, and people couldn't see through him or speculate his thoughts. So how could something bad happen to a person like that? Before Yi Wanwan could say anything to Si Yihin, someone reported outside the door, "President, I don't mean to disturb you, but Lord Nameless Nye is here." Lord Nameless Nye? Yi Wanwan was startled. When did Nameless Nye become a lord? President, your brother, Nameless Nye, made us call him Lord. We couldn't do anything about it. The Fearless Alliance member outside the door sounded exasperated. Sister, I'm coming in. Nameless Nye's voice came from outside the door, and the door was opened a second later. Brother-in-law, are you busy? Nameless Nye strode inside, first glancing at Yi Wanwan before assessing Si Yihin. This question was asked rather skillfully. I'll talk to you later. I still have business to take care of, Si Yihin said to Yi Wanwan as he slowly stood up. Okay. Yi Wanwan nodded. Seeing Si Yihin leaving, Nameless Nye hastily said, Brother-in-law, this variation here means younger sister's husband. Why are you leaving so quickly after seeing me? Your elder sister's husband. Let's have dinner together tonight. What freaking elder sister's husband? When Nameless Nye said that, Si Yihin was already far away. Speak. Yi Wanwan impatiently looked at Nameless Nye. Nothing good happened every time this idiot came here. Sister, do you still remember how you want to find those missing people? Nameless Nye asked. Then, Yi Wanwan glanced at Nameless Nye. So what if I remember? Don't tell me Nameless Nye can lend me a hand. That's obviously impossible, right? I'm telling you. Nameless Nye cautiously looked around him and lowered his voice. I found that place. You found their imprisoned location? Yi Wanwan looked astonished. No way, right? Rubbish, of course I found it. Otherwise, why would I urgently disturb you and brother-in-law like this? He. Nameless Nye had an exaggerated expression on his face. What did that he mean, huh? Where is it? Yi Wanwan hastily asked. It's on an island not too far from the independent state. I have the coordinates too, but it's heavily guarded on all sides, Nameless Nye replied. Yi Wanwan turned contemplative. The island Nameless Nye was speaking of should be the same place as the island Ajo mentioned. How did you discover it? Yi Wanwan curiously looked at him. I didn't discover it. Nameless Nye smiled. I discovered it while I was secretly tailing brother-in-law before. Yi Wanwan glanced at Nameless Nye, rendered speechless. When did she ask him to tail Ajo? Sister, I'm not bragging, but it'd be impossible if those people from Azura wanted to sneak onto the island unnoticed by themselves. Nameless Nye continued when he was met with a lack of response from Yi Wanwan. But you can sneak onto the island unnoticed? Yi Wanwan shot him a look. Nameless Nye shook his head immediately. Of course not. The island is sealed on all sides, and there are too many people guarding it. Even if the Heavenly King himself came, it'd be impossible unless he knew how to turn invisible. Then, what use was there in telling me all this? Yi Wanwan felt her head swell. When her parents gave birth to her brother and her, they should have allocated some intelligence to him too. They were too impartial. There is a method. Nameless Nya was pensive for a moment before looking at Yuan. It's completely unrealistic to forcefully attack the island and enter. But there's another method. Hurry and spill, Yuan said. What's the hurry? I'm combing through it for you. Don't you know the saying, more haste, less speed? Nameless Nya rolled his eyes at her before secretively saying, it's actually very simple if you want to enter the island. Your mind's got to be flexible, and you've got to be smart. In truth, can't you enter the island if you intentionally get captured by them? Yuan nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. This was her real brother's supposed, mind's got to be flexible, intentionally getting captured. What a fantastic imagination. She wanted to say something, but on second thought, if she carefully mulled over Nameless Nya's words, there was some substance there. If a person discussed it with someone on the outside beforehand, they might be able to collaborate from within with forces from the outside and dismantle the place in one swoop. Ah, sister, what do you think? Isn't your brother's brain nimble? Nameless Nya asked Yuan. MN. SOSO. Yuan nodded. It's like this. I think those people will definitely capture me based on my fame in the independent state. At that time, I'll summon a group of capable mercenaries and pretend to lose and get captured onto the island. This matter is too dangerous, so you're definitely unsuitable. Your brother, I will do it. How about it? Nameless Nya quietly explained. Yuan was briefly startled. She never expected her brother to be rather heartwarming at a time like this. In reality, the Nameless Nya in her memory did treat her rather well and cherish her profoundly. Although she was raised by her grandpa since she was young and didn't spend a lot of time with Nameless Nya once gave her an immense feeling of safety in her handful of memories, unlike the present time. Yuan never expected Nameless Nya would ask to take responsibility for such a risky undercover assignment of his own will. Truthfully, Nameless Nya could feign ignorance and stay out of this matter since it wasn't related to him at all. It's still too dangerous. Yuan shook her head in the end after some deliberation. Nameless Nya didn't want her to take the risk, but she also didn't want him to take the risk. They were real siblings, and blood was thicker than water. It's fine. Your group and Azure's group can wait outside, and I'll infiltrate the place. When the opportunity is appropriate, I will light a fire on the island. When you see the smoke, you can act, and I can collaborate from within with your forces on the outside. We can dismantle that island then, Nameless Nya said. Then, what if there isn't fire? Yuan asked. How's that possible? Your brother, I, can start a fire from rocks? Nameless Nya countered. Then what if there aren't rocks? Oh, then you and brother-in-law can consider collecting my corpse for me. Remember to burn a few beautiful maids for me. Yuan. It had to be said that Nameless Nya's plan did have some merits, but required lengthy deliberation since no one knew the current situation inside the island. They were at a complete disadvantage. Please visit on our list novel. Come, let me think about it first. Even if we're going to execute it, it requires a detailed plan, and we can't make the slightest mistake, Yuan calmly said to Nameless Nya. Before he could respond, Yuan added, Moreover, brother, I think that even if those people were going to abduct someone, they would abduct me, the president of the Fearless Alliance, first. They probably wouldn't capture you, no? She was at least President Fearless, while Nameless Nya was a mere rich boy from the Nya family who only knew how to earn money. Nameless Nya might be overly confident. If Yuan had to choose based solely on fame and power, she would capture herself and absolutely wouldn't touch Nameless Nya. Nameless Nya, EY, you're looking down on me? Are you my real sister? Nameless Nya glanced at Yuan. Goodbye. Brother, hold on, Yuan called out. Nameless Nya paused in his tracks and gave Yuan a confused look. Be more careful for the next while. Worry surged up inside Yuan's heart as she looked at Nameless Nya. From Third Elder's tracking adventure with Nye Linglong, Yuan learned entirely of the conversation between Nye Linglong and that mysterious man. The people from the direct line might be preparing to eliminate Nameless Nya. Nameless Nya might have a reliable character, but his strength was supposedly extremely strong. Yuan didn't know how strong the direct line was and whether Nameless Nya could really handle them if something did happen. Just that. Nameless Nya was dumbfounded. What else? Yuan sighed. Did he take my words to heart at all? Aren't you underestimating me too much? Nameless Nya scoffed. Someone who can reap my life hasn't been born in this world yet. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but all of you are garbage. Yuan's lips twitched. This fool. I told him to be careful, and he called me garbage. After saying that, Nameless Nya gallantly marched out of the office, his back ramrod straight, not giving Yuan the opportunity to insult him back. That day, after Yuan took care of trivial tasks, she ordered Big Dipper and 7-Star and a group of experts from the Fearless Alliance to stand guard around her suburban mansion. Nameless Nya's words today reminded Yuan. As the president of the Fearless Alliance, she had a great probability of becoming the target of those masterminds, so she couldn't go wrong by taking precautions beforehand and ordering people to stand guard around her. In the pitch-black night, near Yuan's mansion, Big Dipper stuck his hands into his pant pockets and turned to 7-Star, who was next to him. Say, Old 7, don't you think Sis Fong is being overly cautious and vigilant? Our Fearless Alliance's notoriety spreads far across the independent state. We're like the stinky rocks in a pit of feces, so if those people wanted to capture someone, they'd definitely abduct people like Emperor G or the leaders of the 4 great clans. Why would they consider us seriously? If they really abducted our president, the independent state would definitely sing them praises for eliminating an evil. Old 7, don't you think I'm right? 7-Star stared at Big Dipper and wanted to say something after a brief silence, but ended up unable to utter a word. A long while later, 7-Star finally responded, I don't know how to reply to you after you compared yourself to a rock in a pit of feces. TCH, what did Sis Fong teach us? She told us to always clearly see ourselves and to not be blindly arrogant and to not forget our roots. Old 7, I'm not lecturing you, but I've already recognized myself for who I am while you haven't. You still have a long road ahead of you. Take care, Big Dipper said, sounding like an experienced person. 7-Star. At the same time, inside her bedroom in the mansion, Yuan was on a video call with Tang. Baby, did you miss Mommy? As Yuan looked at Tang's adorable little face, she wished nothing more than a dash through the screen to him. I miss Mommy. Tang nodded and added, Daddy also misses you. Yuan, this little fella looks like he's getting along with Si Yihan rather well. Yuan didn't expect him to know to speak good words on his dad's behalf. Where's your daddy? Yuan asked. In the kitchen, making dinner. Tang turned the camera toward the kitchen. Yuan saw Si Yihan wearing an apron and intently reading the cookbook he was holding. Can this be considered cramming at the last minute? Please visit our list novel. Come, are you used to your daddy's cooking yet? Yuan originally wanted to ask if it tasted bad, but switched her phrasing in the end. Better than before, Tang replied. It tasted bad before. Then what about daddy's cooking now? Yuan asked with a smile. Edible, Tang answered after a moment of consideration. Edible does seem slightly better than tasting bad. Nothing's wrong with that. Mommy, there's a lot of women here. Tang's next words caught Yuan off guard. Yuan was startled. A lot of women. MN, they're all Muumu's subordinates. Tang nodded. Muumu's subordinates? Yuan was dumbfounded. Who's Muumu? Lin 1K, Tang replied. Yuan. This is my first time seeing someone break apart another person's surname and calling them like that. Mommy, they all want to become familiar with Daddy, Tang continued. Oh, what did your daddy do? Yuan glared at the clueless Si Yihan, who was still reading his cookbook. I drove them all away. They don't have any opportunities to approach Daddy, so don't worry, Mommy, Tang replied. At the sight of Tang's serious appearance, Yuan couldn't help the deep smile from spreading across her face. This was indeed her biological son and precious darling. Baby, nice job. You're really Mommy's considerate sweetheart, Yuan happily praised him. After her video call with Tang ended, she casually flipped through some magazines for a while before turning off the lights to sleep. Several hours later, Yuan still hadn't fallen asleep. Her memories from her youth kept surfacing in her mind. However, those missing and blurry memories caused Yuan some pain. The more she tried to recall them, the more painful her head got, as though she'd fallen in a blank state. Finally, in the middle of the night, Yuan finally turned sleepy, but a quiet squeaking noise was heard from downstairs. The noise wasn't loud at all. It was extremely quiet, as though someone was intentionally controlling the volume, but Yuan still caught it in this absolutely silent night. Instantly, Yuan's sleepiness vanished. She became wide awake and carefully listened to the noises below. Is it my imagination, or is there really an unusual sound? Did someone break into my house? Yuan's expression was surprised and incredulous. She previously instructed Big Dipper, 7-star, and the others to stand on guard around the mansion and pay careful attention at all times. Were all of those people this freaking unreliable and remained ignorant to someone breaking into her house? However, Yuan couldn't be certain, so she could only continue to observe. However, a few seconds later, extremely soft footsteps could be heard from downstairs, as though a cat was walking. If one didn't listen carefully, one wouldn't detect it at all. Could it be a cat? Yuan frowned deeply. These footsteps were truly too quiet, so it had to be an expert if it wasn't a stray animal accidentally entering the house. However, she was certain she securely locked all the doors and windows before sleeping. So how could a stray animal have gotten in? Within moments, Yuan could ascertain that it absolutely wasn't a stray animal and was a person, an expert at that. The sound of the footsteps got closer and closer, and Yuan could tell the owner of the footsteps had gone upstairs and already entered a few of the rooms upstairs, as though they were searching for something. Yuan immediately grabbed her phone and sent a text message to Big Dipper. Someone's here. What Yuan couldn't believe was that this idiot Big Dipper not only didn't understand her meaning, but he also called her. Yuan didn't switch her phone to silent, so her ringtone started playing at once. Yuan also reacted extremely fast and instantly hung up Big Dipper's call. However, the footsteps suddenly switched directions and slowly treaded toward Yuan's bedroom. Ding! Big Dipper texted her. Big Dipper, sis phone, why did you hang up on me? What did you mean by someone's here? Did you send it to the wrong person? Damn, sis phone, are you cultivating this late at night? Why aren't you asleep yet? How about we come over and chat with you and eat a late-night snack or something? Fuck me. Yuan wanted to cry after reading Big Dipper's text. Who freaking gave her the courage to think Big Dipper would actually understanding the meaning of her text? Why didn't she send it to 7-star? Why the heck did she text Big Dipper? Freaking, someone's broken into my house, you idiot. Yuan's finger rapidly darted across the screen and sent the message in the shortest amount of time and also turned her phone to silent mode. Thankfully, Big Dipper didn't keep responding to her texts, perhaps finally understanding her meaning this time. At that moment, the extremely light footsteps had stopped in front of Yuan's bedroom. The person slowly twisted the handle, but couldn't open the door. Before sleeping, Yuan had specifically locked her bedroom door. The person outside the door didn't seem to want to disturb Yuan, so they didn't violently break the door open. Yuan's brows locked together. Could it be the group that abducted Ji Xiran? If it was, this might be a little tricky. If even someone like Ji Xiran could be easily abducted, she would be a piece of cake. Hopefully, she would be able to fend them off until Big Dipper, 7-star, and the other members arrived. There was strength in power. On this quiet night, an unknown amount of time passed before the door to Yuan's bedroom was slowly opened with a squeak. Yuan lay in bed without any movements. Her breathing was soft, as though she was sound asleep. After the bedroom door was opened, the footsteps paused, as though the intruder was inspecting the situation inside the room. On the bed, Yuan frowned slightly and tried to survey the door in the dark. Using the faint light, Yuan barely made out a figure that wasn't too tall or built. The figure stood by the door, unmoving and seeming to have become a statue. They silently examined Yuan's bed. Yuan also didn't move. She was waiting for Big Dipper and 7-star to lead people there. Under these unknown circumstances, Yi Wanwan didn't act rashly. She didn't know the identity or objective of the intruder, so her safest bet was waiting for reinforcements to arrive. Yi Wanwan's thoughts raced before she came to a decision within moments. Please visit our list novel. Calm if the intruder really was from the direct line or the group that abducted Ji Shiran. She had to seize the intruder in the shortest amount of time possible after Big Dipper and Seven Star got there. As long as they captured this person, Yi Wanwan was confident they could obtain a lot more information from this person. Right now, their position was too disadvantageous, and the main reason behind this was the lack of information. In the current situation, whether it was the Fearless Alliance, Azura, or the Nyef family, they didn't have any upper hand. Just who was it that captured a group of extremely famous leaders from the independent state? What was their objective, and who was their next target? All of this was unknown. Yi Wanwan didn't feel the slightest tinge of fear as she lay in bed. Instead, she was anticipatory. She hoped this intruder was part of the group that captured Ji Shiran. Only then would she have a chance to gain the upper hand. Before Yi Wanwan could continue her train of thought, the unmoving figure by the door finally started slowly walking forward, and the incredibly light footsteps resounded in the quiet night again. A moment passed, but it also seemed like an entire century elapsed before the figure finally reached Yi Wanwan's bed. The figure carefully leaned over to examine Yi Wanwan's hand. Yi Wanwan and the intruder were very close, and she managed to use the faint light coming from the window to finally distinguish that the figure was a woman. The woman's appearance was somewhat blurry, but Yi Wanwan felt like she'd seen this woman somewhere before. A dozen or so seconds later, the woman bent down and reached for Yi Wanwan's hand. Suddenly, Yi Wanwan's eyes shot open completely as she grabbed the woman's right hand. At the same time, a round of footsteps and shouting could be heard from elsewhere in the mansion. Huh. The light to the master bedroom was turned on. The darkness was dispersed, replaced by light. Sis Foam, are you okay? We're here. Big Dipper hastily called out after turning on the lights. Seven Star stared at the back of the woman standing by Yi Wanwan's bed, a cold glint flashing through his eyes. It's you? When Yi Wanwan clearly saw the woman by her bed, her expression involuntarily turned surprised and filled with strangeness. Who are you? How dare you sneak into my Sis Fang's room? Do you want to die? Big Dipper shouted and darted to the bed. However, he froze in a spot the second he saw the woman's face. Mom! As Big Dipper stared at the woman in front of him, he was rooted to his spot, disbelief brimming from his eyes. Mom! Big Dipper was dumbstruck. Why was the woman who came to assassinate their president his mom? Seven Star was also incredibly astonished. In Seven Star's mind, Big Dipper's mother was merely a normal person and had poor health, so why did she appear in their president's room tonight? Could it be Big Dipper's mother who was the culprit behind the abduction of Emperor Ji and those top leaders of the independent state? However, no matter what, Seven Star couldn't figure out why Big Dipper's mother would do that. Read more new novels on List Novel. Come, Mom, why is it you? What in the world is going on? What deep hatred is there between you and Sis Foam that would make you take advantage of the Dark Knight and try to kill Sis Foam? Big Dipper looked agitated as he stared at his mother. The woman glanced at Big Dipper. Who told you I came here to assassinate President Fearless? Mom, isn't that obvious? As they say, a moonless night is perfect for killing. If you didn't come here to kill Sis Foam, did you come to visit her? If you wanted to visit her, you should have used the front door. Big Dipper hastily retorted. Get out. Big Dipper's mother frowned. I need to talk to your president alone. Mom, you mustn't do anything foolish. It was Sis Foam who paid for all your hospital bills all these years. We can't bite the hand that feeds us. You mustn't attack Sis Foam because Sis Foam will definitely beat you to death. Big Dipper looked incredibly worried. Seven Star, can you please help Annie take him outside? Big Dipper's mother requested, looking at Seven Star. All of you leave the room, Yi Wanwan ordered. Only after Yi Wanwan spoke did Seven Star nod and drag Big Dipper out of the room before closing the bedroom door. Yi Wanwan and Big Dipper's mother were the only people left in the room. Auntie, I'm listening. You probably didn't intrude into my room this late at night to do something as simple as chatting with me, right? Yuan scrutinized Big Dipper's mother. For some reason, she didn't sense any ill intentions coming from Big Dipper's mother. President, before anything else, can you let me see your ring first? Big Dipper's mother asked. Yuan became cautious. The ring. Another person here for the ring. Yuan was extremely curious as to what these two rings represented and why so many people were interested in these two rings, one group after another. Are you talking about this? Yuan lifted her right arm and lightly swayed the ring on her finger in front of Big Dipper's mother. When Big Dipper's mother saw the ring again, her expression changed several times. She stood in her spot silently, as though this memory evoked some piece of memory in her. A while later, Big Dipper's mother finally spoke again. President, allow me to be bold and ask you where you obtained this ring. Or perhaps, does this ring really belong to you? Yuan's expression turned odd. Just what was the background of Big Dipper's mother? She did have some recollection of Big Dipper's mother in her recovered memories. After all, Big Dipper frequently mentioned his mother to her. In her memories, Big Dipper's mother was merely a normal person who didn't seem to be connected to any factions in the independent state. As Big Dipper said, his mother had perpetually poor health. From the current look of things, though, Big Dipper's mother wasn't as simple as she appeared and might know the meaning behind these two rings. Yuan stared at the woman in front of her. What did the question, "Does this ring belong to you," mean? Before Yuan could respond, the woman suddenly sighed and shook her head. Forget it. Whether the ring belongs to you or not isn't something I should ask or concern myself about. Auntie, just who are you? Yuan frowned slightly at the other woman. Big Dipper's mother abruptly knelt down on one knee. This subordinate, one of the 72 Dishas from the Rose of Death, and also the Rose of Death's liaison with the world, greets the newly appointed Eric. Yuan was dumbfounded. Who am I? Where am I? What's going on? The Rose of Death's newly appointed Eric. Back in China, Yuan learned from Si Wutian that every Black Widow in the Rose of Death also held the alias Eric. Right now, Big Dipper's mother was calling her the new Eric. Moreover, what sent Yuan into further disbelief was that Big Dipper's mother was actually a member of the Rose of Death and also one of the 72 Dishas. Although she didn't know what the 72 Dishas were, they seemed oddly formidable. If you don't understand what this ring represents, I can't tell you, Big Dipper's mother said when she saw the stunned Yuan. Tell me about it. Yuan was helpless. She really didn't understand what this ring represented. All right, Big Dipper's mother nodded. The Rose of Death was established several centuries ago, and the first Eric and a son from a great patrician family in the independent state fell in love with each other. However, due to problems with the independent state system, their love encountered great hurdles. In the end, the young master abandoned the first Eric. After that, the first Eric founded the Rose of Death, called herself Black Widow, and used the alias Eric. Yuan was astonished. The Rose of Death was unexpectedly established like this. And in the Rose of Death, there's been one core rule since the first Eric, and it's related to this ring on your hand. This ring represents the most supreme power in the Rose of Death, and anyone who obtains this ring has the right to lead the Rose of Death, continued Big Dipper's mother. Yuan found it baffling. Isn't this rule too loose? If the ring is lost or stolen, then if it was someone strong, how could they lose it or have it stolen? If they're weak, then they don't have the right to become the Rose of Death's Eric, Big Dipper's mother replied. Yuan was a loss for words. Was that first Eric too overconfident or too careless and willful? Since this ring is in your hands now, you're the Rose of Death's newly appointed Eric, Big Dipper's mother proceeded to explain. Then what if my ring was stolen by someone? Yuan asked furtively. If it was stolen, then you wouldn't be related to the Rose of Death anymore. Whoever has the ring would be the new Eric, Big Dipper's mother replied. All right, I understand. Yuan didn't know what to say. She gave this ring to Si Yihan back then for safekeeping, but Si Yihan didn't know its origin, so he never used it. Then he returned the ring to her some time ago. However, Yi Wanwan hadn't recovered the memory that detailed where she obtained this ring. After listening to Big Dipper's mother's explanation, Yi Wanwan finally realized why people kept trying to steal this ring. It wasn't this ring's monetary value. It was what it symbolized. If this ring fell into someone else's hands, and that person knew the meaning of this ring, then they could become the new Eric and control the entire Rose of Death. Yi Wanwan couldn't help but start wondering where in the world she obtained this ring. A long time later, Yi Wanwan suddenly started. Could it be she also stole this ring back then? It couldn't be any more normal for the Fearless Alliance to steal this and that, all right? However, carefully thinking about it, it seems somewhat impossible. Back then, regardless of how formidable she was, she managed to steal this ring from the previous Eric? That had to be a joke, right? Unless the previous Eric was a weakling, of course, but that didn't seem too probable. Auntie, tell me more about the Rose of Death, Yi Wanwan requested, turning to Big Dipper's mother. Sure. Big Dipper's mother nodded and started telling her everything about the Rose of Death. Because the first Black Widow wasn't a resident of the independent state, she wasn't approved by the independent state, and was even betrayed by the man she loved. He abandoned her in order to preserve his patrician family reputation and his status. In her fit of anger, the first Eric founded the Rose of Death, and the Rose of Death's original intention was to contend against the independent state. However, the independent state at that time was in its golden age, and the Rose of Death was a new faction and didn't have a strong enough foundation, so they couldn't contend with the independent state. Later, the independent state lost its formidable power from its golden age, while the Rose of Death grew stronger and stronger. In recent decades, the different generations of Erics all had a horrendous relationship with the independent state, especially the previous Eric. They outright started a war with the independent state. Unfortunately, the previous Eric died tragically in the independent state due to certain reasons, and the ring that symbolized the paramount power in the Rose of Death also disappeared after that. It wasn't until Yi Wanwan's appearance that this ring saw daylight again. Yi Wanwan silently rested her chin on her hand and mused over everything. The previous Eric of the Rose of Death actually died in the independent state. Didn't people say the Rose of Death was stronger than the independent state? So why did it end like that? Why did the previous Eric die? Was it because the Rose of Death's strength wasn't enough to contend with the independent state? Yi Wanwan asked promptly. Big Dipper's mother shook her head. Due to development over dozens of generations, the majority of the Rose of Death had spread to all corners of the world, and summoning its core strength required quite a lot of time. However, the previous Eric didn't use me to summon the Rose of Death's core strength, and launched an abrupt war against the independent state in an extremely short amount of time instead. Yi Wanwan nodded lightly, roughly understanding the problem. The previous Eric seemed to have been blindly arrogant. If they first summoned the Rose of Death's core strength before launching an attack on the independent state, the outcome might have been different. All right. Yi Wanwan hastily took out the other ring and handed it to Big Dipper's mother. Auntie, what does this ring represent to the Rose of Death? Big Dipper's mother accepted the ring and carefully inspected it before shaking her head. Although this ring is similar to the ring of supreme power in the Rose of Death, this subordinate has never seen it. Never seen it? Yi Wanwan was astonished. She originally thought these two rings were a pair, but this ring was actually completely unrelated to the Rose of Death. That's right. I'm certain this ring you just gave me is definitely unrelated to the Rose of Death. If it was, as the Rose of Death's global liaison, there's no way I wouldn't know. Big Dipper's mother replied with certainty on her face. Yi Wanwan started doubting her life again. So this second ring was a freaking counterfeit item, and she had been hiding it like a treasure this whole time. Of course, being a counterfeit item was merely one of the possibilities. There might be another meaning, but Yi Wanwan couldn't be certain. Immediately, Yi Wanwan put away the second ring again. Regardless of whether it was counterfeit or not, there was no harm in keeping it. Since you've appeared with the ring, will you complete the Rose of Death's mission? Big Dipper's mother asked without waiting for Yi Wanwan to respond. Yes, of course I'll complete it. Yi Wanwan nodded without any hesitation. She snatched a big freebie without doing anything and was promoted from President Fearless to Eric from the Rose of Death. Only an idiot wouldn't complete it. All right, what's the Rose of Death's mission? Yi Wanwan suddenly had an ill foreboding feeling. Don't tell me the Rose of Death's mission is to destroy the independent state, modify the independent state's laws, and avenge the previous Eric, Big Dipper's mother said. Yi Wanwan wanted to cry. She didn't freaking snatch some big freebie. She clearly picked up a hot potato, all right? Forget about modifying the rules for now. Avenging the previous Eric? What absurd joke was this? The previous Eric was eliminated by a group effort from all the factions in the independent state, so wasn't avenging them the same as destroying the entire independent state. However, right now, Yuan had no way to back down since she agreed too freaking eagerly just now. Ahem. There's no hurry. We've got to have an extremely detailed plan first and give the matter further thought. Let's take it slowly, Yuan replied after some thinking. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. Yuan was thinking that since the ring of supreme power in the Rose of Death was in her hands, she could steady them first. After pacifying them, didn't she have the final say about everything in the end? It wasn't that Yuan was trying to enjoy her power while avoiding responsibility, but destroying the entire independent state was simply impossible. Was she supposed to destroy the Nye family, Azura, and the Fearless Alliance as well? Furthermore, currently speaking, she hadn't enjoyed any special power from the Rose of Death yet. Moreover, Yuan had a nagging feeling that things weren't as simple as Big Dipper's mother said. There might be some hidden facts, and they had to thoroughly investigate everything first. Upon seeing that Big Dipper's mother wanted to continue this topic, Yuan interjected, "Oh right, Annie. What does Big Dipper's father do?" Big Dipper's mother was startled, and an inscrutable smile curled on her lips. Big Dipper's father is a resident of the independent state, while I am not. You should know the rules of the independent state. Marriage between residents of the independent state and outsiders is prohibited. Perhaps it was because of me that Big Dipper's father was punished by his own family. Since he was sickly since he was young, he didn't survive the punishment. Big Dipper wasn't acknowledged, and I could only raise Big Dipper on my own. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for helping me take care of Big Dipper all these years. Big Dipper was staying with his father at that time and witnessed his father getting punished and dying firsthand. I've let Big Dipper down, Big Dipper's mother continued with a shake of her head. Yuan vaguely remembered how Big Dipper kept emphasizing his father ran off with a mistress. Big Dipper was probably well aware of this, since he personally witnessed his father being punished to death. It was just that he was unwilling to admit it in the depths of his mind. In reality, people all said Big Dipper was foolish, but Yuan disagreed. Big Dipper's childhood experience caused him to completely shield himself so that he could live in his own world. Yuan knew the death of his father truly impacted Big Dipper greatly, to the extent that he would rather trap himself in his own world than leave it and face the reality. All right, why did the martial arts union abduct you last time? Yuan asked, looking at the other woman. Big Dipper's mother's expression became slightly confused at that. She herself also didn't know why the martial arts union wanted to capture her. Perhaps they discovered my identity. After all, I'm a member of the Rose of Death, Big Dipper's mother explained. Yuan nodded. That was possible. If the martial arts union hadn't discovered the identity of Big Dipper's mother, it wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't capture a normal person for no reason. Before they could continue, knocking was heard at the door. Enter, Yuan called out. The bedroom door was opened. Mom, are you okay? Big Dipper rushed into the room and inspected his mother anxiously. Yuan was exasperated. She wasn't a tiger, so it wasn't like she could have eaten his mom. I'm fine. I just chatted with your president. There's nothing to worry about, Big Dipper's mother replied with a smile. That's good. But Mom, why did you sneak into Sis Fang's house so late at night? Big Dipper was bewildered. It's nothing. I previously invited Annie here, but I just forgot about it. Yuan was the one to reply. Big Dipper stared at Yuan. Sis Feng, there's something I don't know whether I should say or not. Tell me, Yuan said. Sis Feng, are you brushing me off? Big Dipper asked. Yes. Yuan nodded. Could it be she wasn't obvious enough in brushing him off that he needed to ask? Oh, it's nothing then. I just wanted to ask. Big Dipper nodded. Big Dipper, help me take Annie home first, Yuan instructed. All right, I'll bring my mom home first and have old Seven take over for now. I'll be back soon. Big Dipper glanced at Seven Star. Watch over Sis Feng carefully. If anything happens, I'll hold you accountable. Then Big Dipper led his mother out of the bedroom without waiting for a response. After Big Dipper left, Seven Star and the others also retreated from the room. Yuan lay in bed. Tonight felt like a dream. Somehow, she discovered the origin of the ring. Somehow, she became Eric and learned about parts of the Rose of Death's past. She was in great emotional turmoil. She hadn't had time to digest everything yet. What path should I take in the future? In truth, the life she wanted was very simple. Being with Agio and Tangdang and leading an ordinary and steady life together as a family. That would be perfect. Unfortunately, reality wasn't allowing her. Forget the fact that she was the freaking president of the Fearless Alliance. Now, she also became the freaking top leader of the Rose of Death and had a freaking shoulder so many responsibilities and missions. Did they think she was Superwoman? Didn't they say a person's responsibility increased with their capabilities? Did the heavens have some misunderstanding regarding her capabilities? Yuan really considered this ring to be a hot potato. However, regardless of how boiling hot it was, she had to hold on to it and couldn't throw it away. It wasn't that she wanted to possess the supreme power of the Rose of Death. But if she relinquished this ring, what if her successor wanted to complete the mission? If her successor summoned the Rose of Death's main force and attacked the independent state? That image was too unbearable. Hence, no matter what, the ring could only be hers. As long as she didn't agree, the Rose of Death wouldn't act recklessly since she was their new leader. Yuan pondered whether she could borrow the Rose of Death's strength to attack the supposed direct line or not. Before she could think any further, her phone screen lit up. Yuan had turned off her phone's sound and vibration earlier, so there was only a display notification. Yuan picked up her phone and saw it was Nameless Nia calling. You better not be looking for me to strike a business deal this late at night. That was the first thing she said when she picked up the call. Darling sister, I didn't call to talk business with you. Freaking. Nia Linglong is back. Did you know? Nameless Nia sounded emotional from his anger. Nia Linglong is back. Yuan furrowed her brows. Nia Linglong's identity was clearly exposed already, yet she still dared to return to the Nia family shamelessly. It had to be said that Nia Linglong's tactics were noteworthy indeed and couldn't be underestimated. Calm down. Tell me slowly, Yuan replied. Tell you slowly? Slow your ass. My mercenaries told me about what happened already. That little bitch. No, I have to break her arms and legs. Nameless Nia yelled. You can't. Yuan interrupted him immediately. I can't. Why not? Nameless Nia was startled. Why do you have to break her arms and legs? If you claim she's colluding with the direct line, do you have evidence? Yuan countered. Why don't I have evidence? My people saw it, and didn't one of your Fearless Alliance elders also see it? Nameless Nia replied. So what? Yuan coldly said. Don't forget that Nia Linglong is one of the candidates for the next family head of the Nia family. I'm a competitor, and you're a competitor that Nia Linglong knocked out. You and I are real siblings. Do you think those elders and higher-ups of the Nia family would believe groundless words from us? If you act now, the higher-ups would say we're using underhanded tactics to slander Nia Linglong instead. The Nia family didn't belong to one person. For a matter like electing a family head, even if it was Patriarch Nia and Madam Nia, they had to discuss it with the elders and higher-ups and elect one person. Nameless Nia was silent for a long while before replying. Right, sister, you're too correct. Why didn't I think of that? Nia Linglong returned without any fear. So she must be certain we don't have any evidence. If we did anything to her, it would be our problem. The elders and higher-ups have always leaned toward Nie Linglong. Thankfully I called you, or else I would have been tricked. That motherfucker. Yuanwan was at a loss for words. Nameless Nie was too impulsive and did things without thinking, so he'd eventually get into deep trouble. What should we do now? Should we find some evidence first? Nameless Nie asked. Don't worry. Since Nie Linglong dared to come back, you definitely won't find any evidence. You mustn't underestimate this sister of ours. Just act as though nothing happened, Yuanwan replied. Act as though nothing happened. Nameless Nie was startled. Nie Linglong definitely expects you to pull something against her, but if we do the opposite and act as though nothing happened, who knows who will be the one leading the other person by their nose? Yuanwan snorted. Right. Your analysis is on the nose. Actually, that's why I called you, so that you wouldn't be led by the nose by her. Nameless Nie said. Yuanwan. Freaking. Do you have a nerve to be any more shameless? The next morning, Yuanwan got a call from Madame Nie urging her to go home because there was something important to discuss. At the Nie residence, Madame Nie and Patriarch Nie sat on the sofa while Nie Linglong docilely and respectfully stood on the side. Mother, father, don't worry. While you aren't home, I'll carefully look after everything. Please visit our list novel. Come. Be sure to watch over your brother carefully. Don't allow him to cause a mess outside, Madame Nie instructed worriedly. Nameless Nie was lying on the second sofa, shaking his leg and playing a game. When he heard that, he immediately raised his head and complained, Mom, can't you think better of me? Madame Nie rolled her eyes at him. You'd first need to have something better for me to think about. Nameless Nie. He seriously thought he should have been the one to test his DNA. He definitely wasn't their biological child. Nie Linglong glanced at a nearby servant, and the servant hastily brought over a pile of big and small, exquisitely wrapped and high-end gift boxes. Nie Linglong said, All right, Mother, this is some ginseng and swallow's nest I had someone specifically bring back from China, as well as some tonics and supplements. You and Father work so hard, so you must keep your health up. Madame Nie nodded. You're very considerate. Patriarch Nie had a complicated expression as he looked at the docile and sensible Nie Linglong. After the fake worry list was exposed, he thoroughly investigated the entire Nie family, but didn't discover any clues or traces. Since he was on a Gene City now, he could investigate it further there. At that moment, spry footsteps could be heard outside the door. Holding a plastic bag, Yuanwan entered the house while beaming. Damn up. When Madame Nie heard her daughter's charming voice, the dignified and elegant expression on her face was instantly replaced with joy and affection. She immediately stood up and walked forward. Wanwan, you're back. Madame Nie caught sight of the item in Yi Wanwan's hand and casually asked, What are you holding, Wanwan? Yi Wanwan promptly, carefully opened the packages tightly wrapped in foil like she was showing off a treasure and replied, These are fried skewers. I bought them from a super famous food stall in the Southern District and had to line up 2 hours to buy them. I was afraid they'd get cold, so I sped back on my way home. It's still hot right now. Try it, Dad, Mom. When Madame Nie heard that, her eyes turned red instantly. Child, why did you go through so much trouble? If you wanted to eat that, we could have made it at home. Yi Wanwan hugged Madame Nie by the arm and cutely said, It's different. I found it tasty when I ate it, so I especially wanted you and Dad to taste it too. Hurry and see if you like it. If it's good, I will buy it again next time. Madame Nie was instantly moved. My baby daughter is so thoughtful. Good. Dad will try it now. Patriarch Nie couldn't be any happier. As though he was faced with some exotic delicacies, he carefully picked up a bamboo skewer of barbecued meat. Nie Linglong watched how Madame and Patriarch Nie surrounded Yi Wanwan's cheap skewers like they were a treasure and glanced at the supplements she bought for them sitting on the side, a chilly feeling leaking from her eyes. Nameless Nie was speechless. Dad, Mom, aren't you too hypocritical? Last time I ate something like this, you chased after me and scolded me for several days, saying I was eating junk food. Now, you're praising this girl in outer space? Did you get amnesia? Madame Nie glared at him. Shut up, what do you know? Stop spouting nonsense. Nameless Nya. I'm spouting nonsense? It's clearly this girl who's spouting nonsense. She had to stand in line to buy something. When the owner saw her, he probably wanted nothing more than to give her the entire store. Yi Wanwan humorously glanced at nameless Nya, who looked like he ate shit, and provokingly made a face at him before turning to her parents and asking, "Dad, Mom, you call me back in such a hurry. Did something happen?" Patriarch Nya replied with a gentle expression, "Your mother and I have some business in Jean City in 2 days, so we're hoping you can help us manage the Nya family while we're gone." Madam, Nya meaningfully said, "The Nya family will definitely be passed onto your hands in the future, so consider this as a learning opportunity." When Nya Linglong heard this from behind them, she abruptly raised her head. They had just phonily asked her to look after the Nya family, but were now leaving all the power in the hands of that piece of trash, worryless Nya. In the end, regardless of how long she had been with the Nya family, she was nothing but a servant. Yi Wanwan imperceptibly glanced at Nya Linglong and happened to catch a remaining tinge of darkness on the woman's face. She replied with a calm smile, "Dad, Mom, don't worry. I'll take good care of the family." Nya Linglong quickly regained her composure and quickly replied, "Dad, Mom, Sister and I will be home, so there won't be any problems. I will help Sister from his side." Patriarch Nya nodded. "Amen, let's go. The elders are waiting." In the conference room, all the higher-ups and elders from the direct line and collateral branches of the Nya family were sitting in a room. Patriarch Nya cleared his throat before solemnly beginning. "While I'm in Jean City, Worryless will act as the family head. I hope everyone will assist Worryless by working as one and taking good care of the Nya family together." Everyone had differing thoughts about this newly found second miss of the Nya family, who also held a position as the president of the Fearless Alliance. However, in front of the patriarch, none of them revealed anything on their faces, and all agreed. "Don't worry, patriarch. Us old fossils are still here, so nothing will happen to the Nya family." Patriarch Nya nodded and turned to Yi Wanwan. He gently said, "Wanwan, this is your second great-uncle. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask him." Second great-uncle. Yi Wanwan politely greeted him. This elderly man, who was about 30 to 40% similar to Grandpa in appearance, was Grandpa's real younger brother. While seated, the august, healthy-looking elderly man said, "Back then, eldest brother willfully took you with him, and you've had an uneasy time all these years on the outside. However, it's good you're back. It's also time for you to shoulder this responsibility. The incident regarding the previous patriarch of the Nya family, who was Yi Wanwan's grandfather, leaving the Nya family because he was displeased his daughter got married to the descendant of his sworn enemy from the Ling family, was a taboo topic in the Nya family. Hence, the elderly man merely looked morose and didn't delve too deeply into it, only giving Yi Wanwan a few words of encouragement. It's good that Second Miss has safely returned. I believe the Nya family will definitely flourish under the leadership of the Second Miss. Another higher-up piped in. The clan meeting quickly ended. Patriarch Nya finished with all his arrangements and left Yun City with Madame Nya 2 days later, heading to Jean City. After Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya left, Yi Wanwan took advantage of her parents' absence and sent Tang Tang to see Yihan, telling him to take Tang Tang on a trip by themselves for a few days. This was the quickest method to foster a deep relationship. Then Yi Wanwan focused on learning how to manage a clan from her great-uncles and the elders. Thankfully, she had picked up some things from Siyin back in China for a long time, so she was familiar with these affairs already and conducted them rather smoothly. As for what to do with Nya Linglong, Yi Wanwan planned to keep thinking of a way to investigate the power backing her. Late at night, in a secret manor located in the city outskirts, an elderly man dressed in black walked out from the hidden room and looked at Nya Linglong darkly, who was sitting on the sofa and playing a game of chess. "How's the progress with the Nya family?" Nya Linglong looked confident. "Everything is within my grasp." The elderly man in black snorted. "I don't think that's completely true, right? The real worryless Nya has returned to the Nya family and is fairly trusted, having even taken up the position as the acting family head. Nie Linglong looked disdainful. You're overestimating her. She's merely a piece of trash. From what I know, Worryless Nie's current martial strength has dropped greatly, and she isn't even 30 or 40% of what she used to be. The elderly man in black was taken aback. Truly, in the independent state, which prohibited firearms and revered martial arts above all, a person's martial strength represented everything. When it came to someone like piece of shit, he could solely be compared to a killing machine who could destroy more than half of their experts. No one dared to provoke such an entity. If Worryless Nie's martial strength had truly plunged, then she might not even be qualified to be the head of the Nie family. The independent state revered martial arts above all, and the Nie family from the four great clans was even more so. The Nie family was the clan with the strongest martial strength out of all the clans, and the previous patriarch of the Nie family was once the most outstanding martial expert in the independent state. Hence, martial strength was vitally important for the family head. Nie Linglong lightly set down a black piece and took out all the white pieces. The corners of her lips curled up as she said, "Don't worry. The position of a Nie family head will definitely be mine." Since that imposter had died, there didn't need to be so much hassle. She'd obtained that position herself. That better be the case. Several days later, Yuanwan followed a group of clan elders and higher-ups to a Nie property for observation. Nie Linglong was also in the car and fulfilled the role of secretary dutifully and responsibly, diligently reporting business to Yuanwan. She stayed strictly within her boundaries these past few days, making it impossible for Yuanwan to snatch a single piece of useful information. The location was a bit far, so the group drove for a long time before stopping in front of an extensive factory. When they arrived, the chauffeur immediately sprinted out of the car and opened the door for Yuanwan. However, the second Yuanwan exited the car, the chauffeur abruptly attacked Yuanwan like a ghost. The fierce wind from his palm slashed across Yuanwan's neck like a blade, creating a bloody line instantaneously. A little more force, and her neck would have been forcefully snapped broken by him. "Who are you?" Yuanwan narrowly dodged his attack, but the man was too fast and launched attack after attack toward her like a tornado, each strike fiercer than the previous. This man's martial arts skills were extremely strong. He absolutely wasn't an ordinary assassin. Damn! Yuanwan narrowly dodged his attack again. "Sister Worryless, be careful. Who are you? How dare you attack a member of our Nie family?" Nie Linglong quickly rushed over and struck the assassin with her hand. Nie Linglong's palm reached perfection in both strength and speed, and she managed to strike the assassin back with a mere hit. PFF. The assassin spat out a mouthful of blood, evidently injured. He hastily turned around and escaped. Yuanwan reflexively looked at Nie Linglong. The other woman managed to repel the assassin with a mere strike of her palm, which meant Nie Linglong's martial arts skills were probably better than she expected. A group of Nie family guards quickly chased after the assassin, while the higher-ups and elders from the car behind them also rushed forward. "Who is he? He's rather gutsy to dare to assassinate our second miss. That was simply lawless. We must thoroughly investigate this matter. Miss, are you okay?" The elders and higher-ups spoke one after another. Yuanwan massaged her palm, which had turned numb from fending off that man's attack. "I'm fine." Amidst this sea of indignant voices, a soft voice was suddenly heard. "Second miss, with your strength, that assassin probably shouldn't have even approached you. So how did he?" The person didn't finish the rest of their sentence, but its meaning spoke for itself. Everyone instantly looked at Yuanwan strangely. That was right. Second Miss's martial talents stunned the entire independent state back then. She was the legend of the mercenary world. So how did she lose to an assassin, requiring that assassin to be struck back by Nie Linglong? When faced with those higher-ups and elders' questioning and suspicious gazes, Yuanwan's face darkened. Her martial strength really hadn't recovered completely still. Even though she had been sparing no efforts in her training lately, she only managed to recover 30 to 40% at best. If she was drunk and lost her rationality, She might be able to recover 50 to 60%, but she was still a ways away from her previous strength. When it came to something like martial arts, the closer you were to the top tier, the wider the chasm between each degree of strength. Some people might not be able to cross that chasm their whole lives. Yi Wanwan's current state was like a formatted max-level main account. She originally passed all the stages already, but now had to level up all over again. Although her progress was faster than the average person's, it was still difficult the more she advanced. Something like comprehension couldn't be solely obtained through training. No matter how hard she worked, she still felt very clumsy, and her body couldn't coordinate with her mind. This would undoubtedly be fatal in a match with a true expert. Sister just feels unwell today. Nie Linglong considerately walked over to mediate the situation and turned to Yi Wanwan with concern. Sister, I'm sorry. It was my fault for allowing assassins to infiltrate and shock you. I will send people to escort you back and rest. When the higher-ups and elders saw their acting family head's weak appearance and how she looked like she needed to go back and rest after the shock of a mere assassination, their expressions turned darker. How could such a weak person hold the post of the head of their Nie family? How could Yi Wanwan not have realized the truth by now? Today's events were probably arranged meticulously by Nie Linglong beforehand. Nie Linglong finally couldn't hold back anymore. It appeared she was starting to garner support after losing her puppet, so she could make a bid to snatch the Nie family herself. Nie Linglong truly didn't have a big probability to win before, but when Nameless Nie lost his right of inheritance and Yi Wanwan's martial strength dropped greatly, the situation became very disadvantageous for them. Aside from their abilities, every head of the Nie family had to meet an especially strict requirement for martial strength. That night, they returned to the Nie residence. Yi Wanwan immediately called Nameless Nie with a chain of calls. Worryless, do you need me for something? Hurry and talk. Do you know that I, your brother, have big jobs worth several $100s every minute? Nameless Nie complained. Several $100s every minute. How great! Yi Wanwan irritably rolled her eyes. Follow me. What is it? Nameless Nie reluctantly followed her to a deserted courtyard. Yi Wanwan got straight to the point. Spar with me. Nameless Nie asked, Spar with me. Right now. Nameless Nie's hackles raised. What scheme are you brewing? Do you want me to be beaten to death by Dad and Mom? How could he dare to spar with his parents' precious sweetheart? Yi Wanwan exasperatedly responded, I just want to test my current martial strength. Hurry, stop quibbling. Oh, okay then. Yi Wanwan fastidiously ordered, You aren't allowed to go easy on me. Fight with me seriously. Sure, Nameless Nie replied. Swish. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU a second later. The two people attacked at almost the same time. Followed by a bang. Yi Wanwan flew back. Shit. Nameless Nie jolted in fright and quickly leaped over, catching Yi Wanwan before her back hit the wall in fear of her getting injured. Yi Wanwan darkly steadied herself and angrily roared. Nameless Nie, are you trying to murder your sister? Nameless Nie was also scared terribly. Say, sister, why are you such a weakling? You're a weakling. Your whole family is filled with weaklings. Sister, don't be unreasonable. If everyone in the Nie family is a weakling, then there aren't any experts in the independent state. Yi Wanwan ignored him and seriously asked, Let me ask you, what percentage of your strength did you use? Nameless Nie seriously thought about it. 0, 1% probably. Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan inhaled deeply. Speak properly. Is it 1% or 0? 1%? I was right. It was 0. 1%. Yi Wanwan was silent for a long time before asking again. When I was at my peak, how many moves could I take from you? Nameless Nie rubbed his chin. If you were using your status as my younger sister, you could take 2 moves from me. If you weren't using your status as my younger sister, you could only take 1 move from me. Yi Wanwan. What should she do? She really wanted to beat him to death. Did all of this guy's intelligence get redistributed to his martial strength instead? In the end, Yi Wanwan gave up on the idea of beating him to death since she couldn't defeat him. Is there any method to make my martial strength recover as soon as possible? Yuan asked with a sigh. Nameless Nia mulled over it and scratched his head. That's hard to say. In your situation, you aren't a newbie who can increase your martial strength through training. Your body function and quality are already there, and you're working with top-notch equipment already. Hence, your problem isn't that you have bad equipment, it's that you can't use it or start it, so you're unable to display its ability. Everyone has a different comprehension of martial arts, and only you know your body best. I'm afraid no one else can help you with that. Yuan felt a headache pounding. Nieling Long is probably planning to snatch the position of family head. Can't you work harder? Today, she purposefully sent an assassin to test me and also publicized my plunge in martial strength to all the elders and higher-ups. The situation is very disadvantageous for us. Nameless Nye grumbled. It's not that I don't work hard. It's that my real dad rejected me with a single vote. He said he was afraid of the Nye family being destroyed in my hands, so he absolutely wouldn't allow me to become the family head. Yuan responded, Our dad is pretty wise. It was actually more frightening for someone to solely have martial strength while lacking a brain. What do you mean he's wise? Our dad is clearly muddle-headed. But forget about that for now. You still have to deal with your problem yourself. Public morals are deteriorating with each passing day, so it'd better if you recovered faster or else a problem will eventually pop up, Nameless Nye said, looking at Yuan. Yuan didn't say anything to that. The headmaster also said last time that the rest of her recovery solely relied on her. She was just afraid she wouldn't have enough time. However, sister, I still felt like something is wrong with the Nye family right now. That little bitch, Nieling Long, isn't related by blood to the Nye family at all. So logically speaking, she isn't qualified to become a candidate for the Nye family head at all. However, there are higher-ups and elders who support her, so I think they might have been bribed, Nameless Nye continued. Is that even a question? Yuan shot Nameless Nye a look. They were definitely bribed. Nieling Long had to have offered some immense benefit or some promise to those elders and higher-ups who supported her. Furthermore, the elders and higher-ups were stirring trouble using their father's bloodline. They claimed that father also wasn't a member of the Nye family, but since he became the patriarch of the Nye family, why couldn't Nieling Long? They had to be commended for thinking of this excuse and reasoning, especially since other people couldn't really refute it. Let's head back and rest. We have to keep our health up and must be vigilant while Dad and Mom are gone, Yuan said to Nameless Nye. Right now, the Nye family could only rely on the two of them, and Yuan could only trust Nameless Nye. Unfortunately, if Nameless Nye was smarter and more shrewd, he would just need to stomp his feet with his martial strength, and the entire Nye family would shake. Who would dare to rebel? However, it had to be said that the heavens were fair. You're right, sister. We need to keep our health up. Don't worry, I'm here. I'll protect you. Nameless Nye turned and left. However, to Yuan's surprise, things developed worse than expected. The next day, news suddenly came from Jin City that Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye encountered an ambush on their way there. Their current whereabouts and fate were unknown. Yuan immediately dispatched her top elites to Jin City to investigate the matter. However, 3 days passed, and there still wasn't any news. They only discovered a bloody handkerchief that belonged to Madame Nye. After learning of this, Yuan personally visited Jin City, but found nothing. Her mother's bloody handkerchief made Yuan's mind uneasy, but there was nothing they could do at this point. They didn't even know who the culprit was. In the meeting room, the atmosphere was unprecedentedly serious. Based on the current situation, it's extremely possible the Patriarch and Madam have met an unfortunate fate. A clan can't be without a head, so I suggest for us to hurry and elect a new head so that they can preside over the present situation for us. Please visit our list novel. Come, old three, what are you saying? Before the Patriarch left, he appointed Second Miss as the temporary family head already, so she's naturally in charge of everything. As you just said, First Elder, it was temporary. However, How can we hand the Nief family over to a temporarily appointed person in such an urgent time? We should naturally hurry and pick the most suitable candidate. That's the top priority. I agree. That's right, I also agree. Although Second Miss is very capable, you must all know that Second Miss's martial arts strength isn't as it once was. How could she hold a position as the Nief family head at that level? First Elder, don't forget the rule established by the previous patriarch. Of course I remember, but only Second Miss is the most suitable candidate right now. I don't think so. Regardless of martial talent or capabilities, I think Third Miss is the most suitable candidate. Everyone has seen Third Miss's capabilities for themselves over the years. Utterly ludicrous. Nieling Long isn't related to the Nief family by blood, so how could she hold the position of family head? First Elder, aren't your words improper? Our current patriarch's previous name wasn't Nie Huili, and he was actually a member of the Ling family. Since even the son of the Nief family's archenemy, the Ling family, could become the head of our Nief family, why can't Third Miss become the head? You're simply, First Elder didn't expect the other person to bring this matter up and couldn't conjure anything to refute it. You're right. After Third Miss becomes the family head, she can choose to marry a young and promising youth from our Nief family. She wouldn't violate any rules then. Yuan calmly watched everyone arguing. After hearing that, what else didn't she understand? Since that elder supported Nieling Long so staunchly, Nieling Long probably promised to marry his son after becoming the family head. The matter is urgent, so please start voting now, everyone. Voting? Voting your ass. Dad and Mom just got into an accident, yet you're in such a hurry to elect a family head. What? Are you all hoping for Dad and Mom to die? Nameless Nie ran his eyes over all the higher-ups and elders present. How could you say that? The Nief family has centuries of estates, so we can only prioritize the big picture at this current stage. We're just as sad and grieving that something like this happened to the patriarch and madam, but a dragon can't be headless. We will elect a new family head first, so that we can better investigate what happened. A higher-up retorted. Nameless Nie wanted to say something else, but Yuan sent him a look to tell him to stop speaking. Since these elders and higher-ups dared to act like this, they had to have a contingency plan. The situation today was very disadvantageous for her and Nameless Nie, and electing a family head was a rule. Everyone had to obey the rules regardless of who they were. In the end, aside from First Elder, everyone actually voted for and elected Nieling Long as the head of the Nief family. Yuan wasn't surprised in the slightest by this outcome. From all her years of operation, Nieling Long had deep roots in the Nief family. They also couldn't forget Yuan's fatal weakness. She, who had no martial strength, was the same as a crippled person in front of Nieling Long. Damn, do you want to revolt? Let me see who dare to vote for this little bitch. Nameless Nie, don't make incessant trouble. This isn't a place you can act recklessly. What did you say? Make incessant trouble? Fuck your grandma's leg. I'll slap you to death, idiotic old fart. Nameless Nie shattered the chair next to him into smithereens with a kick and fiercely glared at the elder who spoke. What? You're going to disregard even the Nie family's rules now? A higher-up snorted at Nameless Nie. Rules? What rules? I don't know what rules there are, but anyway, I'll kill whoever dares to elect this little bitch. Nameless Nie behaved as though the situation was already so bad that making it worse would make no real difference. Nameless, watch your mouth. First Elder glanced at Nameless Nie with a frown, a sense of helplessness filling his heart. The old Nameless Nie couldn't be any more steadfast. In terms of strategy, he didn't lose out to Ji Shiran. In terms of abilities, he didn't lose out to Yi Shuihan. However, ever since that incident, he turned into this current state and became a hopeless case. If he was Nameless Nie from back then, the Nie family wouldn't have needed an election at all. Election? Is it? Fine, then I'll also enter. I'm the eldest child of the Nie family, so what right do you have to omit me? Nameless Nie chortled. As they say, the eldest son is the boss. I'm the eldest child, so I should be the head of the Nie family. You aren't qualified, An elder expressionlessly refuted. I'm not qualified? Why aren't I qualified? Is your head filled with soy milk? You old geezer. I'm telling you, the first thing I'm going to do when I become the family head is kill you. If you're uneducated, then don't come out here and humiliate yourself. Don't you remember how the eldest sons of those ancient emperors were all crown princes? The principle is the same here. I'm the eldest son, so I must become the family head, Nameless Nye said. Yuan. Ah, real brother, you're too awe-inspiring. You were vetoed by the patriarch a long time ago, an elder replied. Bullshit. Nye Linglong was also vetoed, but isn't she still running? Don't give me that nonsense. I'm running for the position too, so hurry and vote. Nameless Nye said with irritation. Fine, then we'll vote. Raise your hand if you vote for Nameless Nye, an elder announced with a glance at Nameless Nye. Yuan immediately raised both hands, while First Elder also raised his hand after a brief silence. Nameless Nye, as you can see, you only have 2 votes. You don't pass. This chapter is scrapped from Read Light Novel. Org Yuan. Nameless Nye. Yuan was at a loss for words. So what if Nameless Nye ran for family head? No one voted for him. If they did vote, she would have been elected ages ago, and there wouldn't be time for Nameless Nye to fly off the handle. Blah. It's fine if I don't pass. If anything happens to the Nye family, don't call on me. Let our enemies kill your old twits. Nameless Nye snorted and quickly turned to Yuan. Let's go, sister. Let's go shopping and forget about these idiotic old farts. Yuan. All right. Yuan immediately followed Nameless Nye and left. Yuan actually didn't care about the matter of the Nye family head too much, since the only thing that occupied her mind right now was her parents' safety. Even if she didn't have the Nye family, she was still the president of the Fearless Alliance and was also the newly appointed Eric of the Rose of Death. As for Nye Linglong, Yuan was going to ignore her for now. The top priority right now was uncovering news of her parents. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.